to pass your funded account, and it is our third lesson. So for this I have chosen a day where we could have like multiple losses with our entry model, the session cycle. Okay, so I will show you how you can cope with losses on your funded accounts with our model. So let's start. This was your Asian high. Okay, this was your Asian low. Now you will get it when I go on lower time frame, right? So this was your Asian high, right? So what you would be waiting for with our entry model is either the swept of Asian high or the swept of Asian low. So for this day, what do we had? This is the reason why I mark this, because whenever I do backtesting with this indicator, it shows something like this. I don't know why, but let's close it. So this was your Asian high. Okay, what you would be waiting for is the swept of the Asian high and market structure shift and fair value gap entries. You had the swept, you had like impulsive move upside. Now what would you be waiting for in this case is this last break of structure. Okay, now we have a fair value gap as well, but we don't have the uh, break market structure shift. So what happens over here is, if we look closely, you have the fair value gap but with a BPR. Although it was a small BPR, but let's stick to our rules. Okay, so this was your BPR. So where would your entry gonna be? Above, below the fair, below below the BPR, and your stop loss is gonna be above the candle value gap. And where is your target gonna be? The first target would be the 5 hour, and the second target would be the Asian low. Now in this particular scenario, what happens? Price perfectly tags in. Okay, now you are running in profit. I guess this was 1 hour, or I don't know, more than one. We had like multiple rejections from our balance price range, right? So what happens after that is, boom, your stop loss hit. Okay, so let me type it somewhere. For the day, on our funded account, we are minus 1%. Okay, let me do it bigger. So we are minus 1 hour on our funded account. Okay, so what happens after that? Now after this loss, this high is a buy side liquidity for you, because this everything in this scenario was valid and you still lost a trade. So what you would be waiting for is the swept of this high. Okay, because now after this fair value gap and this like this BPR is invalid now, because now this fair value gap does not have any market structure in this scenario. So this is not valid, and this high is a buy side liquidity for us now. Now let's say some of you get FOMO over here, right? So you think that price took you out and it's like moving downwards. So but in this scenario, you had this equal lows that price is trying to shift and then move towards the buy side liquidity, right? So although there was a BPR too, like this, we had a BPR too, but as we know, this was our buy side liquidity. So let's take a trade. This was clearly invalid trade, but still, let's say we took a trade. Our first target would be the 5 hour, let's say. it tags us in here and it drops like, oh well, it actually drops for 5 hour. Okay, so watch this. This was a 5 hour trade. Now let's say we took a loss over here. Let's be honest with our entry model. Although this was a profitable trade, but let's say you had a loss over here. Okay, we are minus 2% on our funded account. Now you would be waiting for this buy side liquidity to be swept. Now let me make this one. This was our buy side liquidity. Okay, now what would you be waiting for this swept of this liquidity and market structure shift? Now in this scenario we don't have any market structure shift. Now watch this. This whole move does not comes with any fair value gaps or BPR in it, so we will like completely ignore it. This is usually known as build up, means the build up of liquidity, the trend and liquidity. If you see it on like more lower time frames like 30 seconds, so it happens after more buy side liquidities. We set more buy side liquidity and we are still waiting for our. Now let me show you something. What is our bias? After Asian session we are continuously swapping the buy side liquidity, but we are building the sell side liquidities and we still have the Asian session low to our here. So what is our bias? To trade inside the Asian session zone. Okay, to trade inside this we are continuously moving towards the upside and we are continuously clearing the buy side liquidities. So what we are left with the sell side liquidities. Now as I said, there is sell side liquidity below this low, like every low holds the sell side liquidity. So what happens over here is you had another impulsive move towards the upside. Okay, now this is where you had your market structure shift, and this is where you had your fair value gap. Although this was not only a fair value gap, we had another small balance price range inside this. How does your entry gonna look like this? Where would be your target would be below this low? This is 4.770. So let's say this is your target 5 hour. Okay, let me move this aside. You got tagged inside the trade, price moves for 3 hour almost, and after that you had another loss, 3 losses consecutive. Okay, although this was not a loss if you stick with your rules and took your like 50 or 60% of your trade at 5 hour. Okay, this is the reason why I told you guys to stick with 5 hour first and then move to like 10 hour, because you once you get experience with the with this session cycle model, you will be getting more hour risk to rewards. So in this scenario, let's say we have 3 hour in negative for the day, so this was a loss too. Now we swap this liquidity. As I told you, if you took a loss on this fair value gap, okay, now this high is invalid for you because this liquidity arises. Now there could be some point like maybe price is clearing this sell side liquidity and this was the fair value gap, price tags into it and then moves to clear the buy side liquidity. You always have to like clarify your losses, because this was a valid loss and you can like see why would you lose a trade over here, so you can give a reason to yourself. So This was a buy side liquidity. Again we swept it. Okay, after the swept, but where was the last low? This. Okay, let me delete this. Okay, this was the last low and we had our market structure. I always put the wrong lines on the wrong time. So this was our market structure shift. Okay, this was the buy side liquidity set. Now where would your entry gonna be? Fair value gap, like this. Okay, now let me show you something. Although this entry was like based on this order breaker block, right? So I will tell you what breaker block is for the beginners. Let's say market is going in an upward direction. Okay, now as this was following the order flow or the market structure, let's say there was order block, price tags into it, moves upward. There was order block, price tags into it, moves upward. Now at at this high, okay, or this low, there was a order block somewhere over here. Okay, now instead of price mitigating it and then moving upward, let's say price mitigating it and then moving upward, what happens is price breaks through this order block. Although this was a valid order block, but price breaks through it. Okay, now this is now called breaker block. Breaker block is always valid, is only valid if the move that break the this particular low, right? So this move is only on fair value gaps. Let me show you on live charts. Okay, like this was the breaker block and the smart money traders would like put a buyer somewhere over here, right? So the move that cleared this order block, right? So this was the candle on with a fair value gap inside it. Okay, so this is what your breaker block is. I will do like a video on this if you guys don't understand about it. Okay, now what I would be waiting for is for the price to get inside this breaker block. Your stop loss is gonna be above this. Do remember, smart money traders do trade the breaker block as well, but like not all of them, but some of them do. So where is their stop loss gonna be? Because they have a very refined stop loss, so their stop loss is gonna be somewhere over here. Okay, so now but where our stop loss is gonna be above the fair value gap candle as our entry rule, right? So where would your first target would be? Let me show you. 5R. This was 5R. Okay, your next target would be the Asian session low. This was your Asian session low. Now what happens over here is price tags into it. Okay, it wicked the smart money traders. Okay, and after that it starts to drop. Okay, this is your first partial point, the 5R. Okay, after this whole trade is like let's say 11R, although this is it's 12, and we hit the I guess the full take profit. Yes, let me see if this was London session. 1 second, guys. Okay, so this was your trade inside the London session after it swept the Asian sessions high. Okay, we had our first loss somewhere over here. We had our second loss. We had our third loss. Now this was the total 3R in negative. This trade puts up. Now let's say you cleared the 3R and you are in positive 5%. You are left with 3%. How would you do the left of the 3%? Now delete everything we have. The Asian sessions high swept. The Asian sessions low swept. What is left somewhere over here? The London sessions low is also swept over here. What is left? The London sessions high. Now what is your bias over here?